There is a highly calculated, deeply troubling, and completely undeniable financial reality unfolding right now in the world of professional sports, and it's happening in plain sight. And the billionaire ownership groups across the WNBA are starting to realize that more people are finally paying attention. Welcome back to Court Central, where we don't sugarcoat the conversation or hide behind surface-level analysis. This isn't about box scores, highlight reels, or award races today. This is about pulling back the curtain on a system that has existed for decades, one that many are now questioning more than ever before. For years, the WNBA has operated within a financial structure that has been carefully framed to the public in a very specific way. Fans have been asked for patience. The league has often emphasized its financial limitations. And players for generations have been conditioned to accept the idea that simply having a platform to play at the professional level was something they should be grateful for. But that narrative is beginning to shift. The arrival of a new wave of talent has changed the visibility, the economics, and the overall conversation surrounding the league. This rookie class hasn't just brought skill and excitement, they've brought attention, viewership, sponsorships, and a level of commercial interest that is impossible to ignore. And with that spotlight, the gap between what players generate and what they are compensated has become much more visible to the public. Take a closer look at the structure of rookie contracts, and you start to understand why this discussion is gaining momentum. At the same time, many of the league's biggest stars are building massive personal brands, endorsement portfolios, and business ventures outside the league itself. Their value in the broader sports and entertainment ecosystem is undeniable, and it raises important questions about how that value is reflected within the league's own system. This isn't just about individual players, it's about the broader relationship between talent, revenue, and compensation. And it's why conversations around the next collective bargaining agreement are already starting to feel more significant than ever. Players are becoming more aware, more vocal, and more unified in understanding their worth, not just as athletes, but as central drivers of the league's growth. What we're witnessing isn't just a moment, it's a turning point. The era of quiet acceptance is fading. In its place is a more informed, more engaged, and more assertive generation of players and fans who are asking bigger questions about fairness, equity, and the future of the sport. So as this situation continues to develop, one thing is clear. The conversation is no longer going away, and the decisions made in the coming years could redefine the entire landscape of women's professional basketball. Stay locked in, because this is only the beginning of a much larger shift.
Without the bonus, what they're called bonus escalators, right? Bonus incentives, as they call it in other sports. And a lot of people this is getting a lot of reaction, a hell of a lot of reaction. As you can imagine, again, are all the thank you cards.
To truly understand the sheer, unfiltered frustration surrounding the WNBA's financial structure, you don't have to look much further than the situation involving Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. In today's sports landscape, an athlete's value is often measured by impact on the court, in the culture, and most importantly, in the business ecosystem surrounding the game. When the Chicago Sky drafted Angel Reese, they didn't just bring in a talented forward with elite rebounding ability and relentless energy. They brought in a player whose presence instantly elevated attention, engagement, and commercial interest around the team. Angel Reese isn't just contributing statistically, she's driving visibility. The moment she steps into an arena, there's a noticeable shift. Crowds grow, energy rises, broadcasts attract more viewers. Merchandise tied to her name moves quickly. The buzz around her extends far beyond basketball. It touches media, fashion, and pop culture in a way very few athletes can replicate. From a business perspective, that kind of influence matters. It translates into increased ticket demand, stronger brand recognition, and broader national attention for both the Chicago Sky and the league as a whole. There is a clear, measurable surge in interest wherever she plays. And that's where the conversation becomes more complicated, because when you step away from the spotlight and look strictly at the structure of WNBA rookie contracts, the numbers can feel strikingly out of sync with the level of impact we're talking about. A rookie salary in the range of roughly $70,000 to $75,000 stands in sharp contrast to the scale of attention, revenue influence, buzz, and cultural presence that players like Reese bring to the league. This isn't about diminishing the system entirely, it's about recognizing the tension between a long-standing salary structure and a rapidly evolving business reality. Rookie wage scales were designed with cost control and league stability in mind, particularly during earlier stages of the WNBA's growth. But the league today is not the league it was years ago, with rising viewership, increased sponsorship interest, and a new generation of players who carry massive platforms. The gap between player impact and compensation is becoming more visible and more widely discussed. Angel Reese's situation isn't just about one contract. It's part of a broader conversation about how leagues adapt when the value of their players begins to outpace the systems originally built to contain it. And as that conversation grows louder, it's becoming clear that the future of the league may depend on how that gap is addressed.
Now, with incentives because of the making the all WNBA team, that 574 is really going to be like 1.1 million if the Fever choose to offer her the max or get her up to the max. Caitlin Clark, $85,528K. Now,
the massive gap between the economic impact Angel Reese is generating and what she actually earns through her WNBA salary has become one of the most talked about tensions in the league today, forcing a serious reevaluation of a narrative that has existed for decades. For years, league leadership executives and ownership groups have consistently emphasized that the WNBA operates under tight financial constraints, often pointing to limited revenue and complex profitability as justification for relatively low player salaries. This framework has shaped everything from rookie contracts to the overall salary structure, reinforcing the idea that players should accept these limitations as part of the league's reality. However, the current moment is challenging that narrative in a very visible and undeniable way. Players like Angel Reese are not just performing on the court, they are driving massive attention, filling arenas, boosting ticket demand, accelerating merchandise sales, and attracting significant media coverage. The league is experiencing a level of visibility and engagement that feels fundamentally different from previous eras. And naturally, this raises an important question. If the league is growing, how is that growth being reflected in player compensation? The issue becomes even more complex when you consider the structure of the current collective bargaining agreement, which was negotiated under very different financial conditions. That agreement dictates how revenue is shared, how salaries are capped, and how rookie contracts are structured. Prioritizing stability during a time when the league was still developing its financial base. But as the business side of the WNBA evolves, with rising franchise valuations, increased investment interest, and expanding cultural relevance, the limitations of that system are becoming more apparent. Players are still operating within a framework that does not automatically adjust to this rapid growth, creating a disconnect between their real-world impact and their financial compensation. From the ownership perspective, they are operating within the agreed-upon rules, but from the players' side, there is a growing belief that those rules no longer reflect the current reality of the league. Angel Reese's situation highlights this tension perfectly, serving as a clear example of a broader issue surrounding value, revenue distribution, and fairness. As the next round of labor negotiations approaches, these concerns are expected to intensify, and the outcome of those discussions could play a defining role in shaping the future of the WNBA and the relationship between its players and leadership.
Classes involved here. Aliyah Boston 1. Diamond Miller? Huh? Say what? What? All right. Number 2, ahead of Caitlin Clark. What the hell? All right. My girl Camila Cardoso.
While Angel Reese's situation highlights the frustrations within the league's internal pay structure, Caitlin Clark represents a completely different approach, one that is reshaping how value is created and captured in modern sports. Rather than relying primarily on her WNBA salary, Clark has built a powerful financial ecosystem outside the league, leveraging her visibility, influence, and marketability on a global scale. She recognized early on that the standard rookie salary, while part of the system, does not fully reflect her broader impact, and instead of being limited by it, she expanded beyond it. Through major endorsement deals, signature partnerships, and widespread brand appeal, Clark has positioned herself as more than just a player. She's a global sports figure with significant commercial reach. on high-profile collaborations with major brands, including a landmark deal with Nike, along with partnerships with companies like Gatorade, State Farm, and Panini, have allowed her to generate substantial income independently of her league contract. In many ways, her WNBA platform serves as a stage that amplifies her visibility, which in turn fuels her business opportunities beyond the court. This shift introduces an important dynamic for the league. When top players are able to earn the majority of their income outside the traditional salary structure, it changes the balance of influence. The reliance on league-based earnings becomes less central, and players gain more autonomy over their financial futures. It also reflects a broader trend in professional sports, where elite athletes increasingly build personal brands that operate alongside, rather than solely within, their teams or leagues. Caitlin Clark's approach underscores a larger evolution in the economics of women's basketball. It shows that while league systems still matter, they are no longer the only path to financial success. Players with strong market presence can create opportunities that extend far beyond their contracts, reshaping expectations for what is possible. At the same time, it raises new questions for the league about how to adapt to a landscape where its most visible stars are also independent business forces. Ultimately, this isn't just about one player. It's about a changing model of athlete empowerment, where influence, visibility, and personal branding play a central role in defining value.
It's the bonus program. Oh, shit. Now the players can't be getting detained by Russia. Brittany Griner doesn't find that joke funny. I hear he does not find that funny at all. Shame on you guys.
The WNBA's ownership groups are approaching a defining moment, one that could shape the future of the league for years to come. The situation is complex, but the stakes are undeniably high. On one side, there is a growing body of evidence showing increased visibility, rising interest, expanding sponsorships, and stronger commercial momentum in women's basketball. On the other, there is an existing financial structure that was built under very different conditions, one that still governs how revenue is shared and how players are compensated. This creates a critical decision point for league leadership and team owners. They can choose to adapt to the current landscape, recognizing the growth, reassessing how value is distributed, and potentially moving toward a more balanced economic model with players. Or they can maintain the existing framework and take a more cautious approach, prioritizing long-term financial stability as they see it. Neither path is simple, but both come with significant consequences. As the next collective bargaining agreement approaches, tensions are likely to rise. Players are more aware than ever of their impact on the league's success, and there is increasing discussion around what fair compensation should look like in a rapidly evolving market. If negotiations become difficult, there is always the possibility of labor disputes, something no league wants, especially during a period of growing popularity. Moments like this are delicate because maintaining momentum while addressing internal disagreements requires careful balance. What makes this situation especially important is the timing. The league is gaining attention, attracting new audiences, and building cultural relevance. Disruptions at this stage could slow that progress, while productive collaboration could accelerate it even further. Fans ultimately are invested in the players, their performances, their stories, and the competition on the court. That connection is a powerful force, and it plays a role in how these broader discussions unfold. At the center of it all is a fundamental question about value and influence. Players drive the product, while ownership provides the structure and investment. Finding the right balance between those two realities is the challenge ahead. The outcome of upcoming negotiations won't just determine salaries. It will help define the long-term relationship between players, the league, and its future direction. Now the conversation turns to the fans and observers of the game. How should this balance be struck? What does fairness look like in a league that is still growing but clearly evolving? And in the current moment, where does the true leverage lie? This is a pivotal chapter for the WNBA, and the decisions made next could leave a lasting impact on the entire sport.